You ever look in the mirror and feel like you're staring at a stranger, someone tired, maybe a little lost, maybe pretending everything's fine when it isn't? Yeah, I've been there too. The truth is, the world's going to tell you 1,000 different versions of who you should be. It'll sell you a dream, then change it the next day. But here's the thing. The most important relationship you'll ever have isn't with a partner, a friend, or even your career. It's with yourself. Learning to love yourself deeply, honestly, and without apology isn't vanity. It's survival. It's power. It's peace. Let's talk about, life has this way of convincing us that we're damaged goods, that somehow because we've stumbled, because we've been hurt, because we've made mistakes, we're less than what we once were. But that's a lie. You're not broken. You never were. You're just human, growing, healing, becoming something new. We all carry moments that left cracks in us. Maybe it was a loss that hollowed you out. Maybe it was words that someone said, words that stuck in your chest long after they walked away. Or maybe it was a quiet moment when you realized the person you wanted to be felt impossibly far away. Those moments shape us, yes, but they don't define us. The cracks don't mean you're broken. They mean you've lived. There's this Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, they don't throw it away. They repair it. But instead of hiding the cracks, they fill them with gold. They highlight them. They make them beautiful. The piece becomes more valuable, not despite its scars, but because of them. That's what we are. Every scar, every heartbreak, every wrong turn, they're not signs of damage. They're evidence of endurance. Proof that you kept going when life tried to stop you. I've met people who wear their pain like armor. They think if they stay guarded, they can't get hurt again. But the truth is that armor doesn't just keep out pain. It keeps out love, joy, connection. You can't feel fully alive when you're hiding behind the walls you built to survive. The world doesn't need another perfect mask. It needs real, raw, honest. It needs a you. Sometimes it's easier to believe we're broken because then we don't have to try. We tell ourselves, I can't do this. I'm too damaged. And that becomes our excuse. But deep down, there's still that spark, that quiet voice saying, no, you're more than this. You just have to listen to it. You have to let it speak louder than the voice that says you're not enough. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who inspire you. They're not flawless. They've been through hell. They've failed, lost, fallen apart, and still found a way to stand again. That's strength. That's beauty. That's the kind of power that doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from embracing your imperfections. I remember hearing once that pain carves space inside you. It hurts, but that space it leaves behind, that's where compassion grows. That's where empathy lives. When you've been shattered, you understand how fragile others can be. You become gentler, kinder, stronger, not because you've never fallen, but because you've learned how to rise. So if you're carrying something heavy, guilt, regret, shame, set it down for a second. Breathe. Look at who you've become. You've survived every bad day you thought would break you. You're still standing. That's not weakness, that's resilience. And I get it. Sometimes healing feels unfair. You wish someone else would make it better, or time would hurry up, or the pain would just fade. But healing isn't passive. It's not about erasing what happened. It's about learning to live with it and still choosing to move forward. It's about saying, this hurt me, but it didn't end me. You're not broken. You're a mosaic. Every shattered piece, every jagged edge, every story you'd rather forget. Together, they make something breathtaking, something no one else could ever recreate. So stop waiting for perfection. Stop apologizing for your scars. Stand tall in your story, because the gold in your cracks, that's where your light gets out. And the world needs that light. It needs you. Ever notice how often we let other people decide how we feel about ourselves? It's subtle at first. You post something online and wait for likes. You share an idea and wait for someone to say it's good. You look for a sign, a nod, a word, a smile, anything to confirm that you matter. And little by little, you start outsourcing your worth. You hand it out like spare change, waiting for someone to tell you that you're enough. But you don't need permission to exist. You don't need validation to be valuable. It's crazy how early it starts. In school, you're taught to chase gold stars, good grades, applause. You grow up believing your value depends on what others think of you. Parents, teachers, friends, partners. You start to perform instead of live. You act confident because you think confidence is what people like, not because you actually feel it. You smile when you're dying inside because you think being fine is easier than being honest. But here's the truth. Every time you do that, you trade a piece of your authenticity for approval. When your self-worth depends on someone else's opinion, you become their reflection instead of your own. And that's dangerous because people change, opinions shift, love fades, trends move. If your sense of value moves with them, you'll never find peace. You'll just keep chasing something you can't control. You are not a product waiting to be rated. You're not a resume, a follower count, a performance review, or a compliment. You are a whole, complex, living soul. The moment you realize that, everything changes. Think about it. If you had to live alone on a mountain, with no one around to tell you how great or how terrible you are, who would you be then? Would you still find value in your thoughts, your creativity, your laughter? Would you still matter? The answer is yes. You'd still matter because your worth has never been dependent on the noise around you. I once met someone who had everything that looked like success, money, fame, admiration, but they were miserable. They couldn't go a day without checking what people said about them. One bad comment could ruin their week. That's the cost of outsourcing your worth. You give strangers the power to break you. You have to take it back. Take back your voice, your truth, your center. When you stop living for applause, you start living for purpose. When you stop waiting to be seen, you finally start to see yourself. And that's not an easy process. It's uncomfortable. It means being honest about who you are, even when that person isn't perfect. It means accepting that not everyone will understand you and being okay with that. You will lose people. Some won't like the version of you that no longer needs their approval. But what you gain in return is freedom, the kind that lets you breathe, really breathe, without pretending. Start small. Catch yourself when you seek approval. Ask, why do I need this person's validation? What do I believe about myself right now? Maybe you've been told you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, and you believed it. But those words were never yours to carry. Put them down. Write your own list of truths, things that are real, things that belong to you. I'm kind. I care deeply. I don't give up easily. Build your worth from that, from inside, because the moment you realize your value doesn't come from others, the world can't take it from you anymore. And when that happens, when you finally stop outsourcing your worth, life feels different. You walk taller, you speak clearer, you stop apologizing for existing, you start to love yourself, not because someone told you to, but because you finally understand you were enough all along. There's a strange kind of fear that comes with being alone. Not the kind of alone that happens when you're in a quiet room or walking through an empty street, but the deeper kind, when the noise of the world fades and you're left with your own thoughts. Most people spend their whole lives running from that silence. They fill it with distractions, people, screens, work, endless plans, anything to avoid sitting with themselves. But there's something sacred in that silence, something honest. If you can face it, it will change everything. Learning to be alone isn't about isolation or cutting yourself off from the world. It's about learning to meet yourself, really meet yourself, without masks, without noise, without needing someone else to complete you. Because the truth is, no one else can fill the space that's meant for you. You can surround yourself with friends, partners, crowds, and still feel completely empty inside if you've never learned how to be with yourself. When you start spending time alone, it can be uncomfortable. You begin to hear thoughts you've ignored for years. You notice fears you've buried, insecurities you've covered up with laughter or noise. That's why so many people avoid it. It's easier to stay busy than to face what's underneath. But healing only happens in stillness. Growth only happens when you stop running and start listening. I remember talking to someone once who said they couldn't stand being alone because it made them feel worthless, invisible. They said the silence made them feel like they didn't matter. But the silence isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It shows you what you've been avoiding. It asks you to build your own sense of worth without needing applause, without needing to be seen. That's the moment when you begin to understand that peace doesn't come from who's around you. It comes from within you. Think about how often people stay in relationships that drain them, or friendships that no longer grow, simply because the thought of being alone feels unbearable. They confuse loneliness with solitude. But loneliness is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of yourself. There's a big difference. Loneliness hurts because it's rooted in lack. Solitude heals because it's rooted in connection, the kind that starts from within. When you learn to love your own company, something incredible happens. You stop settling, you stop chasing, you stop bending yourself into shapes to fit into places you don't belong. You start making choices from clarity, not desperation. You realize that your peace is priceless and that not everyone deserves access to it. That's the kind of strength that doesn't shout. It's quiet, steady, grounded. And yeah, sometimes you'll feel the ache of missing someone. Sometimes the silence will feel heavy, but that's okay. That's part of being human. The goal isn't to erase that feeling. It's to understand it, to sit with it without letting it define you. When you can do that, when you can look at your own reflection and not flinch, you find something the world can't give and can't take away. Wholeness. Being alone teaches you to listen, not just to your mind, but to your heart, to the rhythm of your breath, to the quiet truth that says, you're enough, even here, even now. That's when you begin to build a relationship with yourself, one rooted in acceptance, patience, and respect. So when you find yourself in those quiet moments, don't rush to fill them. Sit there, feel the stillness, get curious about who you are without the noise, because the more comfortable you become in your own presence, the less you'll depend on anyone else to make you feel complete. And one day, you'll wake up, look around, and realize solitude isn't emptiness, it's freedom. It's where you meet the truest version of yourself. It's strange how we can forgive almost anyone else before we forgive ourselves. We can understand other people's mistakes, accept their apologies, even help them heal. But when it comes to our own, we carry them like anchors. We replay them over and over like a movie that won't end. The words we said that we wish we hadn't. The choices we made when we didn't know better. The people we lost because we were afraid or proud or just human. And somewhere deep inside, we start to believe we don't deserve peace because of those moments. But that's not true. You've punished yourself long enough. You've carried that guilt, that shame, that if only for too many years, it's time to let it go. Because the person you were back then, they didn't have the knowledge, the strength, or the awareness you have now. They were doing the best they could with what they knew. You wouldn't condemn a child for stumbling while learning to walk, so why do you condemn yourself for being imperfect while learning to live? We grow up thinking that forgiveness is something we give to others. But the most important kind is the one you give to yourself. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about accepting it, accepting you. It's about saying, yes, I made mistakes, but those mistakes don't define who I am. They taught me who I am becoming. You can't rewrite the past. You can't unsay what was said or undo what was done, but you can decide what those moments mean to you now. You can decide whether they're going to be chains or lessons. There's a big difference between guilt and responsibility. Guilt traps you in past. Responsibility empowers you to change the future. Forgiveness is what bridges the two. I've met people who carry guilt like it's their identity. They think if they keep suffering, they're somehow paying for what they did. But pain isn't payment. It's a signal. It's telling you it's time to heal. And healing doesn't happen through punishment. It happens through compassion. Maybe you hurt someone you loved. Maybe you failed when others were counting on you. Maybe you gave up on a dream or walked away from something you now wish you'd fought for. You can't go back and fix it, but you can honor it. You can say, that moment changed me. I see now what I couldn't see then. That's growth. That's redemption. Think about it. If you met someone who told you the exact same story you tell yourself, would you hate them? Would you tell them they're unworthy? Or would you say, it's okay, you're human. You made a mistake, but you're still worthy of love. That's what you need to say to yourself. Not once, but as many times as it takes until it starts to feel real. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering. It means you accept that being human means being flawed. You can't evolve without falling. You can't find compassion without first feeling pain. The cracks in you, the ones you try so hard to hide, those are where the light gets in. You deserve peace, not because you've earned it through perfection, but because you've earned it through living. You've taken the hits. You've learned the lessons. You've grown. So take a deep breath. Let go of the version of yourself that only knows how to carry pain. You've been through enough. You don't have to keep punishing yourself for being human. Forgive the person you were, honor the person you are, and make room for the person you're still becoming, because that person deserves love, and they've waited long enough to receive it. You ever notice how tired you can feel even when you haven't done anything physical? That deep exhaustion that lives in your chest, like the world has been quietly draining you one piece at a time. That's what happens when you give your energy away to things and people who don't deserve it. Your energy, your peace, your focus, your emotional strength is sacred. It's your life force. And too often we hand it out carelessly like it's endless, but it's not. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give light to others if your own flame is burning out. The truth is, you are responsible for the energy you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every situation deserves your reaction. You get to decide what gets your attention, what gets your time, what gets your heart. And that's not selfish. That's self-respect. Because if you don't protect your energy, someone else will spend it for you. There are people who will take your kindness as an invitation to use you. There are situations that will drain you slowly until you forget who you were before you started trying to please everyone else. And the hardest part is, most of the time, it doesn't happen all at once. It's small, a favor here, an apology you didn't owe, a moment when you said yes, even though your heart was screaming no. That's how your energy leaks away, drop by drop, until one day you wake up and realize you've been running on empty and you don't even know why. Protecting your energy means learning to say no without guilt. It means choosing peace over pleasing. It means stepping back from the chaos that doesn't belong to you. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to prove your worth through self-sacrifice. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to prioritize your own well-being. Think of your energy like a house with open doors. If you let everyone walk in and take what they want, there will be nothing left for you. But if you guard those doors, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, you create a space that feels safe, grounded, alive. That's what boundaries are. They're not walls meant to keep people out. They're gates that protect what's precious inside. I've met people who confuse being kind with being available. They think love means saying yes to everything. But love, real love, healthy love, has limits. It knows when to give and when to step back. It knows that your energy is the root of everything else you offer. When you're burnt out, your kindness turns to resentment. Your empathy turns to exhaustion. Protecting your energy isn't about being hard. It's about staying soft in a world that can be cruel. It's about preserving the part of you that still believes, still cares, still hopes. You'll notice a shift when you start to protect your energy. The noise around you quiets. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You start investing in people who refill you, not deplete you. You start to breathe easier, laugh more, sleep better. And yeah, some people won't like it when you draw those lines. They'll call you distant or selfish because they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. But that's not your burden to carry. Your job isn't to keep everyone happy. It's to stay true to yourself, to protect your peace, to nurture your light. Your energy is the core of your being. It's your clarity, your creativity, your ability to love, to dream, to build. Treat it like it's sacred, because it is. The world will always demand more. It's up to you to decide when enough is enough. Choose yourself. Guard your energy. Because when you do, everything else, your joy, your purpose, your strength, starts to come back home. At the end of the day, learning to love yourself more than anyone else isn't about arrogance. It's about truth. It's about saying, I am enough. I am worthy. I am my own home. When you love yourself, everything changes. Your relationships get healthier. Your dreams get clearer. Your peace becomes unshakable. So tonight, when you look in the mirror, don't look for what's missing. Look for what's there and say it. Even if your voice shakes, I love you. I'm proud of you. I've got you. Because that's where everything starts. With you.